breaks like a whisper across the African savannah. A thin blade of golden light pierces the mist, gliding over dew-drenched grass and waking the sleeping earth with a hushed brilliance. The world is still, suspended between the last breath of night and the first exhale of day. A herd of impalas drifts across the plain like flowing water, each movement fluid, silent, almost sacred. Their hooves press softly into the damp soil, leaving behind delicate traces of presence and purpose. In this fragile stillness, every sense is heightened. One rustle in the grass, one twitch in the wind, could mark the beginning of a chase or the end of a life. The air carries layers of scent: wet bark, warm dust, crushed leaves, the faint musk of creatures that passed before sunrise. This is the hour of awareness, when instincts sharpen and survival is rehearsed in silence. Even the earth itself seems to hold its breath, waiting for the day's first decision to be made. In the east, the sun lifts slowly, spilling light over the acacia trees and igniting the first spark of life. The savannah, ancient and alive, stirs once more. From beneath the trees, a low rumble vibrates through the morning air, deep, steady, unhurried. A herd of African buffalo emerges, their massive frames shifting like tectonic plates across the open plain. Each step compresses the earth beneath, sending tremors through the delicate web of life. Their breath is visible in the cool air, hot clouds rising from wide nostrils as they march in unison. They are not predators, yet their presence commands space, respect, and caution. Eyes alert, horns poised like battle standards. They move with the memory of generations, knowing where water lies, where danger waits, and when to stand or flee. The savannah is not just shaped by those who hunt, but also by the unmovable weight of the herd. Power in numbers, legacy in movement. Their presence bends the landscape without striking it, a force unto itself. A single buffalo pauses, lifting its head toward the wind, reading signals only ancient instincts can interpret. This is not chaos. It is orchestration, a symphony of weight, memory, and survival, playing out beneath a sky that watches without judgment. Beneath the fading shadows of an acacia grove, a great lion stirs. His mane, dusted with the ash of yesterday's wind, trembles as he lifts his heavy head. The others in his pride remain scattered in the shade, their flanks rising and falling in the slow rhythm of rest. But he does not rest. For him, morning means duty. He rises with deliberate strength, muscles rippling beneath his coat as he surveys the land that defines his dominion. A lion's reign is never passive. It is patrolled, marked, and defended. Territory is not gifted. It is claimed again and again with presence, with power, and sometimes with blood. His amber eyes sweep across the horizon, tracing invisible boundaries that only instinct can see. Every scent on the wind is catalogued, every distant call measured for threat or challenge. As he walks, the earth responds, imprints deep, deliberate, dominant. In this realm, nothing is truly still. Even silence is a signal. With each step, he affirms what others must remember. This land is watched, guarded, and never truly free of his gaze. From beneath the thorny lattice of an acacia bush, a quieter creature enters the morning stage. A fully grown African crested porcupine pushes its rounded body through the low branches, each movement deliberate, each step carrying the weight of instinct older than the plains themselves. Its quills, black, white, sharp as sculpted bone, ripple softly under the touch of the newborn Sunday. This armor is not decoration. It is history written in keratin, perfected through thousands of generations that learned to survive by turning vulnerability into a weapon. The porcupine pauses, nose twitching as it studies the air. Every scent is information. Where an antelope slept, where a leopard passed, where the wind has shifted sand in the night. To larger predators, the savannah is a kingdom. To the porcupine, it is a coded map of survival. It glides through tall grass with a strange calm, reading the land as though it were a living manuscript. Its small eyes reflect neither fear nor boldness, only a steady awareness carved into its nature. In this place, silence is not emptiness. It is intelligence, the quiet language of a creature that endures by knowing more than it reveals. The air tightens as the world stills. Just ahead, the lion halts, sinew coiled, eyes locked on the porcupine. For a long moment, neither moves. Then, like a storm unbottled, instinct detonates. The lion lunges forward in a blur of power and hunger, mane flying, paws hammering the brittle earth. The porcupine reacts without hesitation, spinning on its axis, rear exposed, presenting the only defense it has ever needed. A fortress of quills rises, bristling like thousands of glass blades. The lions strike lands, but not on flesh. It crashes into the wall of spines, yelping as pain flares through its paw. Dust erupts around them in a choking cloud. The lion recoils, muscles twitching with surprise and anger. He circles left, then right, searching for weakness. But the porcupine moves in sync, rotating to meet every angle, keeping its back armed and face shielded. This is not chaos, it is choreography, passed down in blood and memory. The lion lowers his body, preparing to strike again. But now he knows. This opponent is not prey. It is peril cloaked in silence and steel. The lion darts again, faster, more focused, trying to bypass the armored defenses. But the porcupine is a master of angles. With a swift spin and a flick of its tail, it unleashes a fan of quills that slice the air like daggers. One connects, striking the lion's cheek. He jerks back with a guttural snarl, face twisted in pain and disbelief. Sunlight catches the sharp white tips of the porcupine's defenses, turning them into a radiant shield forged by evolution. The lion prowls around, panting, eyes narrowed, muscles taut. Every second drags in dust and tension. The porcupine doesn't chase, doesn't run, doesn't blink. It simply waits, a coiled fortress, responding only with movement when movement is required. The battle is not one of speed, but of endurance, power versus persistence, aggression versus anatomy. The lion lunges once more, teeth bared in frustration, only to be met by another whip of tail and a fresh sting of quills. His roars echo across the grassland, not as a sign of dominance, but of growing doubt. The porcupine, small yet immovable, stands as a reminder that nature rarely favors the reckless. A final collision sends both creatures tumbling into a thick cloud of dust. Wings flap frantically overhead as startled savannah birds scatter into the pale blue sky. On the ground, the struggle unravels in heavy, instinctual motion claws, raking soil, quills bristling in every direction. When the dust settles, the lion rises first, his broad chest heaving, his mane streaked with broken quills and dry blood. Each breath comes slower, deeper, as his golden eyes scan the battlefield, not for victory, but for consequence. One wrong step now, one wound too deep, could cost him more than pain. In a land ruled by strength, even the appearance of weakness invites shadowed threats. Rival lions, scavengers, starvation. He steps back, one paw lifted cautiously, as if testing the very earth that betrayed him. The porcupine remains motionless, bristles still high, unshaken. It does not retreat, nor advance. It simply watches, silent and sure. The lion hesitates, then slowly turns toward the acacia's shade, not defeated, but deterred. As his silhouette fades into golden grass, the porcupine holds its ground. Only when the predator vanishes does it exhale and lower its quills. Still and steady, the porcupine watches as the lion retreats, a silhouette shrinking into the sea of grass. The quills remain raised, unmoved by the passing of danger, as if acknowledging that retreat is not always surrender. Silence returns to the land, but it is not the same silence from before. It is heavier now, laced with the residue of tension and the unspoken contract between predator and prey. The porcupine lowers its quills only after the last vibration of the lion's presence fades. Muscles relax, breaths deepen. In the wild, not every clash ends with blood or conquest. Some encounters conclude in quiet recognition, a mutual understanding written in instinct and memory. For the lion, pain has redrawn the boundary between dominance and risk. For the porcupine, survival has once again been won not through force, but through unwavering design. They part not as enemies, but as participants in a ritual older than language. Around them, the savannah exhales again. Dust settles, grass sways, and the eternal rhythm of survival resumes, uninterrupted and indifferent to victory or pride. As the lion disappears into the golden veil of grass, the savannah begins to stir with renewed purpose. The sun, now climbing steadily, spills across the plains in sheets of gold and amber. Acacia trees stretch their limbs skyward, and the ancient baobabs stand motionless, silent witnesses to centuries of dawns just like this. In the distance, a zebra herd shifts with the breeze, their stripes rippling like shadows over the tall grass. Every creature is awake now, answering the same call, the call to survive another day. The cracked earth warms beneath hooves and paws, and the scent of the morning changes less dew, more dust, more life. Here, time does not pass in hours, but in instincts. Thirst, caution, hunger. From the tiniest termite to the mightiest elephant, all are bound to this rhythm. The porcupine, now calm, returns to its shaded underbrush, leaving behind a trail not of conquest, but of endurance. There are no crowns on the savannah, only breath and movement. The land does not favor the brave or the bold. It favors those who listen, adapt, and stay. From the shimmering heat haze, something unfamiliar stirs. Heavy, deliberate, and primeval, a Komodo dragon glides across the dust like a living relic. Its hulking body moves with deceptive grace, each step planting centuries into the earth. Though foreign to this land, it walks with the confidence of something that remembers before memory. Its gray-brown scales shimmer subtly under the midday sun, forming a coat of natural armor, roughened by time. This creature does not rush. It studies. It tastes the air, reads the vibrations in the soil, calculates not with thought, but with instinct honed over millions of years. Around it, the grass bends as if in acknowledgement, and small creatures vanish into burrows without a sound. The Komodo is no stranger to patience. It knows hunger not as urgency, but as destiny. The savannah senses it too. A hush settles over the brush. For this ancient predator, every movement has purpose. Every silence holds opportunity. It does not need the roar of lions or the numbers of buffalo. It needs only one thing: time. And time, in this blistering heat, begins to turn in its favor. The dragon advances, its long tongue flicking like a divining rod for life. As it nears a watering hollow, a herd of buffalo, thick and alert, scatters with instinctual fear. But one remains. A dominant male, massive, steady, and unshaken, plants his hooves and lowers his head. For a moment, the two beasts lock eyes, and the savannah holds its breath again. There is no roar, no warning, only a sudden explosion of motion. The Komodo lunges with surprising speed, jaws wide, aiming low. The buffalo meets the charge with a thunderous strike, hooves tearing into dry earth, a wall of muscle and momentum. Dust surges around them like smoke. The dragon is tossed sideways, its flank thudding into the dirt. It recovers quickly, retreating a few paces, unblinking. In the chaos, a single wound has been made small, nearly invisible, but precise. The buffalo grunts, unaware of the slow poison now moving through its blood. The Komodo steps back into the shade, eyes fixed on its work, body still, patience returning. It knows that battles are not always won in the clash, but in the wait that follows. Time stretches thin in the growing heat. The wounded buffalo shifts uneasily, nostrils flaring, tail flicking at invisible flies. Sweat clings to its hide. The bite, at first barely felt, begins to throb its venom, a slow tide rising within. Each breath grows shallower, each step heavier. The rest of the herd has long vanished into the horizon, unaware or unwilling to return. The Komodo dragon remains hidden in the shadows of a rocky outcrop, still as stone. It waits, not with malice, but with inevitability. The sun dips lower, shadows stretch, and the buffalo's strength fades with the light. Eventually, it falters, knees buckling, chest heaving, and collapses onto the dry earth with a grunt of exhaustion. As dusk paints the sky in crimson and fire, the dragon emerges, drawn by the scent of finality. There is no ceremony, no violence left. It sniffs, confirms, and begins. This is not a feast of triumph. It is a ritual, as ancient as hunger itself. On the savannah, life does not apologize, and death does not ask permission. The cycle turns, as it always has, without cruelty, without pause. Far above the silent feast, white wings slice through the cooling air. Cora, a lone raptor, circles high above the plains, its sharp eyes cutting the landscape into layers of movement and meaning. With each glide, it listens not to sound, but to vibration, the beat of hidden hearts, the rhythm of those who move but try not to be seen. Cora is a sentinel, shaped by wind and time, ruling not through size but through silence. It hovers over an earth marked by fading trails and forgotten cries, scanning for the flicker of vulnerability. From its height, no boundary exists, only prey and pattern. Every feather twitches in response to invisible cues. A shift in the brush, a ripple in shadow, the tremor of breath beneath leaves. On the ground, creatures continue their daily rituals, unaware they're being mapped from above. Cora's world is not built on pursuit, but on precision. It will not waste a strike. In the language of air, it waits for perfection, a clean opening, a sure descent. And when that moment comes, the silence will break and the sky will fall with deadly grace. From the eastern rim of Cora's domain, a shadow rises young, restless, and unproven. Tanu, another raptor, enters the sky like a question mark, drawn by scent and instinct. Its wings slice through Cora's territory with bold precision, disrupting the balance of silence. Below, the land watches, still and aware. Above, the air tightens. Cora does not react immediately. It drifts with purpose, studying the intruder not as an enemy, but as a puzzle to solve. Tanu hovers nearby, testing the space, measuring confidence. Then, motion. The two converge like storm fronts. Talons flash, wings twist, wind howls. Each strike is deliberate, each dodge a whisper away from ruin. Their battle is not of rage, but of right. Who will dominate this stretch of sky? Dust stirs far below as creatures freeze beneath the aerial violence. Feather grazes feather, claw scrapes claw. The fight is sudden, fierce, and fleeting. No blood is spilled, but the message is clear. Tanu falters, wings stuttering under fatigue. It retreats not broken, but changed. Cora remains aloft, circling once more in calm sovereignty. Power in the wild is not about violence. It's about who endures when silence returns. The wind softens. Tanu fades into the horizon, a streak of youth humbled by experience. Cora watches its rival disappear, then turns eastward, gliding toward the edge of dawn where light still spills onto untouched plains. Below, the savannah exhales once again. The dust of battles both above and below settles into memory. Creatures return to their rhythms. The porcupine emerges briefly from its burrow to trace old paths. The lion, still nursing the sting of quills, rests in shade, wiser than before. The Komodo, belly full, lumbers away from the hollow, leaving only drag marks in the soil. Here, survival is not crowned by victory, but by continuation. On this land, nothing is wasted, and nothing is forgotten. The sun lowers into amber hush, stretching shadows across the ground like ancient script. No trumpets sound. No declarations are made, only the quiet restoration of balance. Life here does not stop. It pivots, adapts, waits, and moves forward. And as stars begin to pierce the vast African sky, the savannah whispers its eternal truth. Endurance is the only glory.